This video is going to highlight some of the new features that we're releasing here in September 2020. The the feature set that we have is deeply integrated, but it's one of the biggest updates that we have ever made to Impact Dashboard in the 5 years that we've been working on it. And so I'm going to go as fast as I can through these. There's going to be a lot more detail in some webinars that will be coming up in September. They'll be recorded, and you can get into the details of each of these features because there's a lot more going on than I can really spend here, as I'm going to try to do this in maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So we've got overview of our features here. Again, the three kind of things that we think about with Impact Dashboard is you're able to collect, organize, and analyze economic development information. And so our updates, or these new features, are kind of touching on each one of those. So we've got a brand new data form where you can customize the questions that you want to ask on your data request or your data form, and receive those in an inbox, and you can post this on your website. And so that's all been kind of revamped. Around organization, we've got a brand new project fact sheet infographic, and this new types of tags related to project type and key industries. And then finally, around analysis, we are fully kind of completing the ability to look at expansion projects, where you'll be able to separate the current operations from the expansion, as well as we've fully integrated hotel and visitor spending. So those are kind of the big key features there, just kind of listed out. I'll show a few things here just in slides, and then I'll jump over and just show a few things clicking around in the app. But the data form in the inbox with templates, the previous feature, as you remember, the data request feature we had, it was kind of a stock form that had some basic information that you didn't have any control of. Well, the new feature is going to allow you to configure custom data form templates. You can kind of create multiple versions if you want, and then you'll be able to share that data form multiple ways. So you can do it kind of one-to-one via email, like you already could have done in the current app, but now you'll also have this kind of one-to-many, and you can post a link on your website, for example, and let folks submit their information, and then you'll receive that in your new data form inbox. And then the whole data form experience will be completely different than the previous one. We've got this data form wizard, which will be branded with your logo and coloring. There will be branching logic so that you can collect that existing activity from the new activity, if that applies. And then we summarize the responses in a very clean bullet point format, where clients can kind of have this read back to them so that they can understand what they're entering and make sure it aligns with what they were anticipating. So as I mentioned, you'll receive it in a data form inbox. You'll be able to manage your in-progress data forms as well, and everything has been optimized for printing these to PDF or saving them as PDFs. So the workflow in general, it includes kind of configuring a data form, sharing it, receiving responses, and then creating an analysis. And again, it'll be the same single click to create an analysis with the prospect's information. This is a little video of kind of what it looks like to configure a data form. It doesn't look like much right here, but you're able to control each individual question and which kind of inputs you want to ask on each individual piece. If we look at some screenshots here, this is just showing kind of how it'll walk through with the wizard. This is showing kind of a flow chart of how the prospect, based on their answers, what questions they'll be presented. This looks a little more complicated than it really is, but we'll make this available to you in a PDF handout as well. This is just showing us kind of what this looks like. So again, I've created my demo account here, so that's my contact information, and that's my logo for my demo ED Corporation. This would have your contact information. This would have your logo. As I click through here, we want to ask the prospect for their information. In this case, we're getting some information from Michael Scott at Dunder Mifflin. They fill that out, and as soon as they do, they're going to get an email sent to them so that they can get back to the data form, and if they lose their place. Now, one of the first questions we're going to ask here to kind of help with what the data form should be including, is to ask if their project represents a new business or an existing business. And so they'll make that selection, and then we'll be able to determine if we need to ask about current operations or if we just go straight into tell us about your project. So this is kind of what it looks like. You can see in the upper left-hand corner, you have the ability, or your prospect will have the ability to click on that kind of contact if they have any questions. If they do that, they'll get your contact information. Obviously, that's my contact information with my account, but when you set yours up, you can configure what point of contact you want there for questions about the data form. So we click forward, you'll see we've got a bunch of different questions added to this data form that you have the ability to include or exclude if you don't want to. This is an example of kind of some job and salary detail where you'd be able to kind of ask, what occupations are you hiring, how many of them, and what's the average salary, and we'll calculate that average salary there at the very bottom. If someone gets kind of stuck halfway through and they need to come back after they need to grab some more information, they can hit that save and come back button. And we've been saving the progress all along, but this will just give them an opportunity to confirm their email address, and we'll send another link to them so that they can get right back to where they were. Once they finish everything, and I won't go through all the slides, but what we can see here is this bullet point review, the summary. And this kind of just reads back everything they've entered, and it shows it to them kind of in reading it back to them kind of in the way that we are interpreting what they told us. And so if anything that they read here is not quite right, they have the ability to click edit there and modify it right from this page, so they don't have to go back into the full list of the thing. I don't really have any screenshots of it, but at the top you could click on raw data, and that would show you every field that they've entered if they want to see it all in one spot. If I scroll to the bottom of that page, we can see we've got a submit and send button, and we also have got a print button, so they can print and get a detailed listing of everything that they've done. Once they hit submit, you'll get an email in your email that says, hey, somebody has submitted a data form. And if you log back into Impact Dashboard, it would look something like this, where you can see you've got a new data form submitted in your inbox. Your inbox would look something like this, with telling you the prospect's email and the date it was submitted. If you click on the data form here, you'd be able to get a nice printable view of everything they submitted, including that summary. So here we can see the summary at the top, but if you were to scroll down on this page, you would see every field that they submitted. And then if we're just kind of looking at some other pages here, we've got an in progress page. So you're able to manage data forms that maybe someone has started, but they may be lost or abandoned, or you haven't heard from them in a while. You can jump in there and say, hey man, you started your data form. Let me make sure you get all the help you need. And so you'd be able to, with that button for sharing, you'd be able to either, number one, just grab the link if they're saying, hey, send me the URL, I need to get back into the data form, or you can actually send an email to them straight from the app with that same thing. And then we're going to keep a list of all the data forms that you've received and done something with. And so one of the things you would do with it would assign it to a project. So you'd go associate with a particular project and create a scenario. And so if you want to see all of the data forms, you can see that there on your assigned list. When you look at your project control center now, you'll see a complete new section, as we do there, for data forms. And we can see that we have one data form submitted by Michael at Dunder Mifflin on August 18th. Now, if you wanted to, you could associate more than one data form with a particular project. You might not do that very often, but you certainly could. Let's see what else we're looking at here. Oh, and if you're inside a scenario, you'd be able to kind of get to view the submitted data form at any point as well. So essentially, that data form is not going to get modified, but you will be able to make changes to the information that you've copied into the scenario. So basically what we're doing is taking a copy of the information the individual provided and putting it there in Impact Dashboard, allowing you to modify it from that point forward. You can always go back to that original data form by clicking View Submitted Data Form there. So the project fact sheet is connected to this data form. It gives you a brand new way to look at the information about the project. So everyone's familiar with that summary impact report, the detailed impact report. Now this fact sheet is a brand new type of report. It's going to be an infographic format. And it's going to be summarizing the project and company information. So we're not doing any analysis on this. We're not multiplying stuff. We're not doing anything. We're really just showing you the values that were submitted on that data form, or really the data that you've plugged into that particular scenario. You're going to be able to add custom text areas for a description, things like community fit, your recommendations, notes about the company, anything you want there. So it looks something like this. So in this case, if we take a look at it, we can actually jump over and see what this looks like in our actual demo. So let's do that. If we're in our demo, we can see in the upper right-hand corner, we've actually identified the project type and industry. These are some internal metrics that are brand new that we're going to talk about in just a moment. But on this fact sheet, we're listing out the NAICS code, how much space they are going to use or build. In this case, we've got they're going to be leasing space, but they're building to suit. They've got a 10-year lease, and they planning to break ground and begin operations in March of next year and the year after. We've got company information summarized here, just some basics. In this one, because they have some current operations, we're even identifying information there. If I keep scrolling down, we've got the big numbers, kind of their employment, capital investment, and their payroll. And we can even keep scrolling down. We can see some of those text areas. So this is the brand new project fact sheet. Again, this doesn't require any analysis on our side. This is just repeating back that information. So this is a good kind of, when paired with that summary report, 2 pieces of paper kind of tell you everything you need to know about the project, which I think is a really nice way to do this. So while we're in here, I've already pointed out this new project type and industry tag, which will be seen kind of throughout the model. You'll see it here on the summary report up at the top. You can see the terminology that I'm using right now. I've got the project type as business retention and expansion, and I've got my industry identified as advanced manufacturing. Now, these are my internal terms that I'm using for my ED organization. You can customize these, so you could categorize your projects differently if you didn't want to call them those exact terms, or if maybe your industry, you would have different key industries perhaps. And so you would be able to configure those key industries. So those exist kind of throughout the app. Now, what we're looking at here is actually an example of our business retention and expansion impact analysis. So as I mentioned, if I go back to our scenario info, we've got a brand new section here around entering information related to current operations. So as long as you've told us that this project represents an existing business, you're going to see this new section that asks, well, what's some information about what they're doing currently? So enter the market value of their property, tell us how many workers they currently employ and what those workers earn. And with that information, we're going to be able to kind of pull together a kind of a more comprehensive picture of this analysis. So not only do they currently employ 65 workers, let's just take a look. They're going to hire 250 brand new workers. So in total, that would be about 315 workers. What we can do, this toggle at the top is going to let us analyze it however we want. So if I click on total combined, that's going to tell us the number I just mentioned, the 315 total direct jobs. When we apply our spin-off multipliers, it actually turns out to be 457, but just focusing on the direct, we can see 315 here. If we wanted to say, well, we're just trying to focus on the expansion. We don't really want to give them credit necessarily in this analysis for the existing jobs. Let's just focus on the expansion. Again, this toggle will let us jump back to the expansion analysis here, where we can see our impact is 250 direct jobs. And as I've been doing this, our net benefits are adjusting. It's not just the direct jobs, as you see there. So the great thing about this new feature that we're building, or that we've built, we can have this expansion analysis generate the report for the expansion only, right? So we're actually notifying kind of here at the top of the page, hey, this is 250 direct jobs, this is the new jobs. It doesn't include the impact from the company's current activity, which includes the 65 retained jobs. Now, if we wanted to, we can flip this whole report around. Instead of $3 million in net benefits, if we take the broader view, we get $4 million in net benefits, and in this case we are using the 315 direct jobs, which include 250 new and 65 retained. So all of this is fully integrated now to really easily kind of take a look at either just the expansion, kind of a more conservative approach, or get the total combined impact of the project. Now, no matter what toggle you choose up here, you can do whichever one you want, you're going to see these couple brand new tables at the top of your detailed report. So this existing and expanded operations section is going to break this out into columns for us. So we'll be able to see how many, in this case, again, focus on the direct jobs of 65, the expansion jobs 250, and in total 315. We can see our net benefits associated with each of the components. Here's our current operations. They're contributing about 1.9 million across all the jurisdictions. I should focus maybe more on the city, 1.2, and then the expansion of 3 million there. And looking at those values we saw before, in total of 4.3 million. So then, again, these tables don't change. What will change for you will be the rest of the report. So if we look at our fiscal impact overview, scrolling down here to our section, we are at total combined, so we see 4.3. If we want to, we can switch that to the expansion, and that's going to be just the 3.1. So that is, with the exception of one more new feature, let me show you. We've fully integrated hotel nights, hotel visitor spending. You'll have inputs for that. We will calculate for you the hotel taxes depending on your terminology. So this is a Texas client. We're going to use the term hotel occupancy taxes. If you're somewhere else, maybe it's tourist development taxes, maybe it's transient occupancy taxes. There's all different names for it, but we'll make sure that it's right for your case. And so here you can see that is being calculated straight through for us. That is a super quick overview of everything that we've added here, and not even everything, but be sure to look on our website, follow the webinars. We're going to have just a lot more information for you about these details and help you kind of get that data form set up for you in your account. If you have questions, again, as always, feel free to reach out to me. We're really excited about all these new features and would love your feedback. So thanks again. Look forward to chatting. Thanks.